Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Beautiful day today. The sun, for a change, is actually shining. And as you can see, I've had a little bit of a change. Yes, I've gone back to the copper and blue, which I had a few years ago. I had this itch and I needed to get it scratched. So that's what I've done. I would have preferred the copper a little bit brighter. And I think I made a mistake with the blue being blocked underneath. So when it's in a ponytail, it looks ridiculous. But anyway, I suppose many would say it doesn't matter whether it's blocked underneath, it looks ridiculous anyway because you've got red or blue hair. But I like it. As I said, I would have liked a little bit more vibrancy with the red, but because I haven't dyed my hair for 2 or 3 years, I didn't feel brave enough. So she says with blue hair, didn't feel brave enough. But anyway, so today's video, I'm going to be talking about spiders. But before I go into my experiences with spiders and why the whole spider thing fascinates me, I'm going to share a clip from Universal Mastery. Now, I've mentioned him a couple of times. I find his videos really informative. It's just really ahead of his time for his age. I think he's only 28, and I think he's not going to resonate with everybody. Absolutely not. None of us resonate with everybody. But I find his information really valuable, and I'm really resonating with it. Like, I watched one of his videos on intuition the other day, and I was like, yeah. And there's all these things that he says, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. And again, I am going to touch on the intuition thing because he brought up things that, again, I resonated with. But anyway, because I like his information, I decided to research see if he had any videos on spiders, and he does. Now, the reason why I did that is because whilst I've been on this Clipothic journey, or rather researching the Clipoth and demonology, I'm coming across spiders. And again, what triggered this video was a post in Facebook. Somebody had an experience. It wasn't with a spider, but somebody had an experience in a dream. And it wasn't even a dream. It's in that either when you're waking up or when you are falling asleep. And again, there is a name for it, and I've never heard of this term before, but I am going to go into more detail on that, and just describe it a little bit. But without further ado, I'm going to share a clip of Jeremiah's take on the part in the Matrix where Neo is in a pod and the spiders come to him. And what it's actually depicting is a shell of the Clipoth and the spiders coming to stop your soul from evolving. Now, when he said that, I was like, wow, makes absolute sense with the experiences that I've had over the years, with the dreams that I've had, and where I am now. And the fact that on this journey that I've been on, these spider dreams have been dissipating, and how I've evolved. Anyway, you know, a waffle. I'm going to let you go off and have a listen to the clip. I will post the full video in the description box underneath. I might do the second part of this video later today or tomorrow because I'm going up to the horses because it's a beautiful day. So I'm going to go and spend some time with them for a change. It's a beautiful day. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. And if you are on this path of the occult path and the left-hand path and just trying to understand it a little bit better and finding the goddamn courage to maybe even do a ritual, I do recommend Jeremiah. Now, he does do courses. I would like to do one of his courses, but unfortunately I've got to fork out for a new boiler, just short of $2,000. And I've got my lodges to get all electricity tested with, which is going to be 450 quid. So there are certain things that are going on the back burner, which is frustrating, but those are the challenges that we face in life, and those are the challenges that we have to overcome. So I'm wanting to do his Lucifer course, actually. She says with much trepidation, because look, I know how people deem the occult and working with demons and Lucifer. I know, and look, If it don't resonate with you, it don't resonate with you. It's my path, and it's my path I'm following. Anyway, without further ado, enjoy this little clip that I'm going to share. See you later. End recording.
Converted occult technology, they understand the spiders within the tunnels of Set because they're very important to understand, because you can use them to your benefit. You can use them in a very potent and powerful way. So we have the movie The Matrix. This is a great example of the spiders of Set literally thrown right in your face. Most people have no idea about the spiders. They have no idea what it meant, what it means. They just think it's a movie. But basically, you have Neo, who takes the red pill, wakes up, has this Kundalini awakening, so to speak. His sexual energy surges through his body. Remember that silver fluid goes through his arm, travels up, goes through his head. Silver being associated with the moon, being also associated with the first, not the second sphere of initiation. So this is the physical plane, Malkuth, and then you come up here into Yesod. This is the moon. This is the first step into the mass collective unconscious and your subconscious, ruled by the moon. So that's what was going on in the Matrix movie when he took that red pill to wake up and he started seeing what reality really was, and because he chose the red pill. And that was basically symbolic for him taking his first step through the initiatory process. And silver is associated with the moon. Okay, that's why that silver liquid came through him. So then he wakes up, realizes the world that he was in was a matrix, and he wakes up in this shell. Okay, the shell is going to be an example of the clip-off. So if you've seen the movie The Matrix, the first one, you'll see that he wakes up in a shell, and that would be here. Okay, so basically what was waking up in that shell was his soul. That's symbolic of his soul. So the real world is the matrix. That's the true real world. So when he wakes up in that shell, that's symbolic of his soul. That's starting the process of unshelling itself, waking up and getting out of the shell. So once again, this is the Sephiroth. Flip it upside down. This is the Qliphoth, which is Hebrew for shells. Okay, so then Neo punches through the shell, and then all that liquid comes out of the shell. So the liquid is going to be connected to soul fluid. So that is the soul fluid is what you need to be able to remote view with intent. So you need to have first a connection to your soul, and then you need to have soul fluid. You can think of the soul fluid as the soul's energy to be able to travel outside of your body. So remote viewing is sending your astral body, I like to call it the daemon, sending your daemon to go and do things in the real world that actually take a physical effect. So you're remote viewing it, it's happening in the time-like space, it's happening on the astral. Whether you're destroying something or creating something, you can use that. And if you have a strong enough connection with your soul is powerful enough, and you have an excessive amount of soul fluid, what you're visualizing your remote viewing body doing will literally take a physical effect. So when Neo breaks out of that shell and all that soul fluid spills out, that's the soul fluid releasing itself. So the soul fluid was shelled. It was prevented from being able to come out of the shell. So he breaks out of it. And you'll notice that as soon as he breaks that shell, there is a robot that comes over to him. So remember, he wakes up in this separate reality where he's not the only one shelled. There's tons of other people that are shelled. Once again, that's connecting back to the Qliphoth. It's the hell realms of reality where people's souls get shelled. And you'll notice that that place where he wakes up is a tunnel system, okay? It's a tunnel system. And this is the exact same thing as the tunnels of Set that are right behind the Sephiroth. So you'll know he wakes up, there's all those shells, and then there is tunnel systems connected to these hell realms. So yes, he cracks out of that shell, then the soul fluid spills out, And as soon as that soul fluid comes out, there is this robot that flies over to him. And you'll notice that this robot doesn't look like a normal robot, right? If you've seen The Matrix, you'll see that this robot literally has spider-like qualities. It literally looks like, two ways to describe it, like some sort of floating robotic octopus or some floating robot spider. And that's exactly what it's associated with. That is a spider that resides in the tunnel system on the movie The Matrix. And this would be a spider within the tunnels of Set. And you'll notice that as Neo is breaking out of the shell, trying to free his soul, that's what that's symbolic of, this spider comes to try and stop him from doing that. Okay, the spider shows up to try and prevent him from being able to wake up and uncover himself and break fully out. So then he ends up, getting rid of the spider, and that's the purpose. Okay, that is the purpose. So that would be a great example of a spider within the tunnels of Set and what the spiders are pre-programmed to do to the person that is trying to wake up and fully uncover their soul and free and build their soul fluid up. Spiders are programmed to come and try and stop you from doing that. It's just a part of the initiatory system. That's why the initiatory system is challenging, because you are going to have to deal with opposition, occult opposition, hidden opposition that is built in to this initiatory path working system. It is not a free ride. You are going to have to face challenges, and they are archetypal challenges built in to the multiverse. Okay.
The first bit, I've been really busy, and this morning has been no exception. Oh, the reason why my place is always a mess is because, obviously, as you know, anyone that follows me, I've got holiday lets, and once I'm done cleaning those, the last thing I want to do is come home and start doing my own. And I had particularly messy lads in over the weekend, and one of the toilets was like, oh, my mum will be pissing herself laughing at me cleaning, because I'm not the most domesticated of people. And she always just say, "You're such a scruffy bitch, Joanne." But anyway, so yeah, that's why you can see I am, because behind me is always a mess, and I've had another 2 loads to do, and started raining. Anyway, but what's just triggered there is those of you who've watched my previous videos, and you have seen me or heard me talk about when the air freshener just appeared out of nowhere, an air freshener which had been upstairs outside of the bathroom, and I'd got up to go to the kitchen, took 2 steps, heard a dink dink, and was drawn back into the living room, and there was an air freshener slap bang in the middle of the cushion that I'd been sat on. And beside all the freakiness of that, my Chris came round, and he said, because we couldn't understand what it represented, and he said, maybe it's the spirits telling you to tidy up. And what's really interesting about that is that since I've been looking into working with spirits, they do like a tidy area. So maybe they were actually telling me to tidy up. Anyway, what did you think of Jeremiah's perception of that part of the Matrix? Now, look, films and the Matrix in particular has been decoded many, many times, and I have watched a few decodes, and there's always different things, different presenters that people that they come up with, different versions of what it means. But I particularly liked Jeremiah's from an occult perspective. And what I did like about was when he talked about the silver representing the moon. Now, I've talked about it in another video. I had a bit of a theory from something that I read in this book, that when we go to ascend, which one could call Jacob's ladder, so when we descend into this realm, the Gnostics talk about we come through the archons, and that's potentially what gives us our ego as we descend into this realm. To ascend is where we are here learning lessons, and again, we have to go through the archons, Saturn being the hardest planet to penetrate, and again, I've talked about Saturn in a previous video, and Saturn is depicted very much in occult circles, the Tree of Life, Kabbalah, the pentagram. Saturn actually represents spirit. So when I break it down when I'm being on a mental creative ping ponging, thinking about all the branches of trees, I think about we go through all the planets, and we actually have to pass tests as we go through those planets. And like I say, Saturn being the hardest, Saturn represents the cube. This realm is considered a cube, a square that we are trapped in. Anyway, this wasn't the purpose of my video. If you want to understand that a little bit more, go and watch my 666 video, where I go into it in a little bit more detail about the link between Saturn, Satan, the material realm. But it got me thinking about the moon, and the phrase "go to the light," and Jeremiah depicts the silver is the moon, and I'd kind of come to the conclusion that the moon is where souls are kept whilst we are going through the process of karma. Deciding, do we get thrust back into this realm to learn more lessons? Have we learned enough to go on to the next realm? And of course, it's all theory. None of us really know. But it's nice to have these theoretical discussions and to actually exercise the mind of what is beyond this realm. So that was something that I picked up from this book. But anyway, talking about the spiders. So what I found really interesting about how we talked about Neo in the pod and the spiders coming to him. Now, for 20 odd years, I've had experiences with spiders. I started in my 20s, and I'll never forget the first experience. It was a massive black spider hanging over me, and I slithered out of bed to go underneath it. I screamed. Steve, who was my then boyfriend, leapt out of bed. I made him strip the bed, and it's been going on for the last 20 odd years. Now, as I've explained in previous videos, the clip off is where we work with certain demons, and we work through the spheres, and we work with that demon of the spheres. And what it's talking about here is the tunnels of Set. So if you look at the Tree of Life, you've got tunnels, or rather pathways, which lead off to the spheres. I think they are called archetypes. And again, I've got a lot more study still to do. And the opposite of that are the tunnels of Set. And as you will have heard, he talks about the spiders within the tunnels of Set, how they are programmed to stop your soul ascending. And what I actually found really interesting about that is that, as I said, I've been having these experiences with spiders for the last 20 odd years. And prior to my doing my mushroom ceremony, they'd started to dissipate. They'd started to weaken. They were more like cobwebs. Now, this journey of notice that I've been on, I would say that I have done a lot of shadow work, and I have evolved a lot on a soul and a spiritual level, looking at all the Gnostic stuff. And look, I've got a long way to go yet, but I have done a lot of work. And when he said that about, when he was talking about the depiction in the Matrix, about how they're there to try and stop, it made me think about the weakening of these spiders and how far I've come of my journey over these last few years. And I made a connection. Now, after my mushroom ceremony, I did meet a spider in one of the dimensions on my ceremony. But not long after I'd done my ceremony, Dan, who did my ceremony, I was talking to him at the time, and I said, I think it's had one last ditch attempt. Now, in my ceremony, I kept saying, I feel like 11 from Stranger Things. I feel powerful. I feel like 11 from Stranger Things. And the last ditch attempt that I had, it terrified me. It was this black creature, and the only way I can describe it, it was like the no thing out of Stranger Things. And it was terrifying, and it was coming at me at a really really, it was coming at me really, really fast, and its legs were flailing like ribbons. And I leapt out of bed and I went, what the fuck was that? It was not real. It's not real. It's not real. I hadn't even turned the lamp on at this point because I was so scared. And then, of course, when I realized it was another hallucination, then I calmed down, switched the lamp on, and then obviously got back in bed. So it was almost like there was these last ditch attempts from whatever has been trying to frighten me and stop my soul from ascending. It was the last ditch attempt. And I just want to tell you, so I mentioned the first bit of what it's called. So I'm not asleep when I'm having these hallucinations. And one could say, look, you are going into other realms, other dimensions whilst you're in this state. Again, there's all kinds of different interpretations. The same as these different interpretations with the spiders. The spider represents a strong feminine energy. So my experiences might have been around that, but I did resonate with what Jeremiah was saying with the depiction. So let me just get this. Oh, wrong. Sorry, guys. I should have had it. There we are. So it's called Hip. I can't pronounce it. Hypnagogia. And it's a transition between wakefulness and sleep. During this state, it's common to experience visual, audio, or other types of hallucination. So when I'm having these visions of the spiders, my eyes are they're wide open. And before they'd started to dissipate, my brain had gotten used to not knowing they were real. So I'd got to a state of backing away and looking at this. My eyes wide open and looking at this spider, looking at me. I slowly back away, put the light on, and then, of course, I know it's not there. And I have been having other visions, but they've been more like streaks of light, or and they've been very faint. Like I had a feather the other night, and it's almost like, yeah, I am still having visions, but they're not spiders. And like I say, that they're more blended into the background, because I'll kind of like look and I'll go, what is that? And then I'll realize it's just that state of consciousness between wake and sleep. So the Qliphoth, I'm of the understanding that, yes, it does have to be an intentional process. You have to intentionally enter the spheres. However, there is the potentiality that you can experience spheres unintentionally. I mean, look at the paranormal experiences that I've had and the spiritual experiences that I've had. They've all been unintentional. So it's quite possible. It could be from past lives. It could be from this life. You know, nobody knows. So it's quite possible that over the last 20 odd years, I've been being guided to where I am now, and the path that I'm on now. So hope you enjoyed Jeremiah's clip, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you've had anyone that watches this and if you've had similar experiences, pop it in the comments. And yeah, because it is fascinating. It's almost like things are tying in. And there's all these synchronicities. Oh, talking about synchronicities, did you see the orb in my introduction when I was talking about challenges in life? As I was talking about, me having to buy a boiler and blah blah, and it's just challenges in life. An orb drops down, and if we are open, there are so many synchronicities. I had a feather placed on Blue's cremation box the other day, and the other night, a few weeks ago, we had all these strong winds, and I was doing a protection meditation because this thing shakes in high winds, and I was just laying in bed. I was doing a protection meditation. I got up to feed the cats and I went back to bed, and obviously I'd left the duvets over and there was a feather where I'd been lay. So we are divinely protected, and it's beautiful if you're open to it. So anyway, Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon. See you later.